أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. نستأنف إن شاء الله تعالى ما بدأنا به من دروسنا التي تتعلق بشرح حديث جبريل صلوات الله وسلامه عليه في درسنا من الأسبوع الماضي. We started our class last week, Ikhwan, with taking some of the fawaid, some of the benefits from the hadith of Jibreel from last week. And as promised, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the tawfiq to resume what some of the points that the Shaykh Abu Abdul Razak Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad Hafidhahullah ta'ala wa a'anahu ta'ala ala a'da'ihi, what he has brought in his book from the benefits. And we mentioned last week, Ikhwan, that today we're going to deal with an aspect of the hadith that is only concerning knowledge. That is only concerning knowledge and the etiquettes of knowledge and the importance of knowledge. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His Ism al-A'zam, His Ism, His name, that if He's asked by that name, He gives it to a slave. We ask Him for al-ikhlas in our actions, and that He puts our efforts, all of us, in our mizan of hasanat yawm al-qiyamah. When we talk about knowledge in the religion, we're talking about obviously the knowledge of the deen. We're not talking about knowledge of the dunya. And I would like to remind you of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that's been collected by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim on the authority of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu. And this hadith, as it relates to knowledge, describes every single individual who is sitting here. You have to sit there and determine with sincerity and justice, where do you fall and where do you fit in this hadith? There's not a fourth category. Everyone who is sitting here falls under one of the three categories that the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it is a mathal nabawi, a prophetic example or similar to. He says, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam, mathlu ma ba'athani Allahu bihi min al-huda wal-ilm, كمثل الغيث الكثير أصاب أرضا فكان منها نقية قبرت الماء فأنبتت الكلى والعشب الكثير وكانت منها أجادب أمسكت الماء فنفع الله تعالى بها الناس شربوا منها وسقوا ورعوا وأصاب طائفة منها أخرى إنها هي قيعان لا تمسك ماء ولا تنبت كلا فذلك مثل من فقه في الدين الله ونفعه ما بعثني الله به فعلم وعلم ومثل من لم يرفع بذلك رأسا ولم يقبل هدى الله الذي أرسلت به. He said, similar to the example of what Allah has sent me with in this religion. The example of what He has sent me with as it relates to al-huda, guidance, And as it relates to knowledge of the deen, is like the example of some rain that has come down. So he likened himself to the rain. The rain is a rahmah. The rain gives hayat, bi-idhnillah, it gives life. Without the rain, there's no hayat. So the Prophet ﷺ came with a deen and a way of life that gives life. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu istajibu lillahi wa lirrasul idha da'akum lima yuhyikum. O you who believe, answer the call of Allah and His Messenger when He calls you to that which will give you life. So He gave Himself the example of the rain that comes down. So the rain hits a particular type of earth. Someone in here is like that type of earth. He called it naqiyatun, the earth that takes the rain and it absorbs it and it takes it in, and then it sends out a lot of vegetation, a lot of fruit, a lot of nata'ij, results. Took in the rain and then it shot forth its produce. He called it sallallahu alaihi wasallam naqiyya. And then there's a second type of land that he called sallallahu alaihi wasallam ajadib. And then there's the second type of earth that when the rain came, it soaked in the rain, but it didn't send anything out. And Allah benefited the people with that rain, he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they drank from that water and they gave it to drink for their animals, and they also put it on their flowers and their vegetation. So they got benefit from that second type of, that second earth got benefit from the rain. And then there's the third type of land, the qi'an, the one that we ask Allah Ta'ala not to make us of those people. They are those people who resemble the land that the rain came down and it stayed on top of the land. It didn't soak it in, and obviously if it didn't soak it in, it's going to prevent anything from coming out above the water that's above the ground. The qi'an, that's the one who is mu'rid. He turns away from the knowledge of Al-Islam, intentionally or unintentionally. So everyone in this masjid right now is one of these three types of land. He takes the knowledge, he absorbs it, and he teaches it. He works with it. He doesn't necessarily have to give the khutbah, he doesn't have to give the dars. He teaches his children, he teaches his wife, he teaches his family. He calls them to wear their hijab. He teaches them about at-tawheed. He goes to their walimas and their aqiqas and their nikahs, and he tells them about the evil of the jahiliyyah practices. He takes in the rain, he practices it within himself, and he teaches it. The second people, they take the benefit, but they're not teachers. Maybe he is not married. Maybe he's shy, so when he sees evil, he always hates it in his heart. But nonetheless, he's trying to be pious and he's practicing the religion, so he got benefit. And then there's that third individual who turned away from the religion. She walks down the street and it doesn't make a difference to her if she dies in that condition or if he dies in that condition. Right now, we're living in a time, as you all know, which is a time that is close to the hour being established. And from the ayat and the ashrat of the sa'ah being established is, as the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yuqbadu fihi al-ilm, that knowledge will be taken during that time. وَيُثْبِتُ فِيهِ الْجَهْلِ, and in another narration, يَظْهَرُ فِيهِ الْجَهْلِ, ignorance will be established and ignorance will become apparent. The knowledge will be taken away as a result of this ulama being taken away. They die, and also will be taken away because the people do not give any concern about the religion and the knowledge of the religion. And there is a very negative manifestation that we've seen even in the masajid of Ahlul Hadith, Ahlul Sunnah, a negative manifestation from those people who claim to be on this dawah and mubarakah, and that is, we don't have an atmosphere of serious efforts in studying the sciences of Al-Islam. The people have become used to preachers. There's a place for preaching. There's a place, Yawmul Jum'ah on this minbar, there's a place and a time. But every class, if it is only preaching, this is not how you gain knowledge in the religion. That you get motivated sometimes, but most of the time you're not going to memorize all of the details of what was being said. Part of this dawah al-mubarakah is that there has to be a group of people who take the knowledge of Islam seriously, and they come forth and they try to learn the sciences of this religion with paper and pen. From a Salafiyya is paying attention to Tawheed. From a Salafiyya is calling to it, respecting the ulama. From it is loving the companions. From it is creating an atmosphere of scholastics, learning the deen. But the way it is now is very seldom will you find the Muslims come to learn a science of this religion. All we want is preaching. Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran, proving this point, فَلَوْلَا نَفَرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ لِيَتَفَقَّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. The jihad, important issue in this deen, a sha'ira from the sha'ir of al-Islam. Let there remain a group of people who do not go forth. They don't go out for the jihad. They remain in Medina. They remain at home to get the fiqh in the religion. Rasulullah had to leave behind a group of companions to remain, that the knowledge of Islam will remain. Learning, a group of people getting fiqh. Not the mu'idha, the preaching make me feel good. Sacrifices have to be made as it relates to knowledge, ikhwan, and you just sitting there, that is not the way of the Salaf. Abu Hafs Umar radiyallahu anhu al-Faruq, to show you about the sacrifices. Al-Islam doesn't say to you that you have to be unemployed. Like Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, he didn't work in order to stick with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a sacrifice. Islam didn't say you have to do that. Umar radiallahu anhu, to show the sacrifices, he said, this is my brother, this is my neighbor. One day you go and you listen and come back and teach me. And then the next day I go and you remain and you do the field and you work. And this is how we'll get knowledge. Has to be an effort. That means you have to cut your hours. That means you have to get up in the morning, come to the masjid for fajr. That means somewhere in your schedule, there has to be a group of people who are committed to this model of this Salafiyya, which is predicated and based upon scholastics. So from the signs of the hour is the knowledge will be a lot. And in another hadith he said the knowledge will be a little. The knowledge that's going to be a lot is the knowledge of the deen. The knowledge that will be a little will be the knowledge of the deen, and the knowledge that's a lot will be the knowledge of the dunya. One of us becomes an expert in a computer. He has a strong and a sharp intellect. He has an acute intellect. He can break into your computer. He can hack into the strongest computers in the world. But he can't use that intellect to memorize the Quran. He can't use that intellect to become prolific in the ilm of al-hadith or another aspect of the sciences. He knows how to fix his car, take the engine apart, the knowledge of the dunya. So what we want to call to ikhwan is that we begin to see the need of changing these kind of classes. We're happy to see so many people, but at the same time, it is knowledge with the pen and the paper. Or you're going to remain one of those people. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in that hadith about the knowledge being taken away, وَتُكْثِرُ الْفِتَنِ, and the fitna would become a lot. And he described the fitna as being al-qatl or al-haraj, killing and murdering. When the knowledge is taken away, the Muslims are going to fight each other more because he doesn't know the religion. He doesn't know who he should be with. So he makes jihad with the wrong group or the wrong way. He fights his Muslim brothers because he doesn't have the taqwa that knowledge should give the individual. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِي الْعُلَمَاء. Those who fear Allah from his servants are the ones who have knowledge. Not necessarily the ulama. Anyone who has knowledge of Allah, he should have taqwa of Allah. He doesn't have knowledge, so he doesn't have taqwa. So the divorces are more. He divorces wrong, he marries wrong, he fights. All of the fitna comes as a result of no knowledge. So we have to make some efforts to create the atmosphere that a Sheikh Abu Abdurrahman Muqbil ibn Hadi had in Yemen, when the students were serious about studying. Most of the students, except those from the West. The ones from the West, they were looking for ice cream cones. Where can you get ice cream on the mountain? And issues like that. That's why we don't see that much benefit coming. But the atmosphere and the environment of the Sheikh, memorize the Quran, learn the Hadith. The Sheikh will start reading the Hadith. He say, yeah, yo, Falan, get up, tell us the narration. And he has to give the narration. As Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, if you ever go or had a chance to go to his camp in Buraida, you will see how he created an atmosphere. As Sheikh, the Imam and the Muhaddith of this Asr, Nasiruddin al-Albani, who was a madrasa. He has those tapes, Silsilat al-Huda wal-Nur. Sheikh Nasir in his tapes, he has a sit-in with the ignorant people who came to visit him. And they're just recording him and you're listening to the madrasa speak and give the tawjih and the nasiha. And then there's the student who comes to visit him and the level of the talk is higher. And then his family member comes who's not religious and the way the sheikh is dealing with him. And then the one who's a deviant comes to visit the sheikh and then he's debating with him. And then the sheikh travels out to the middle of the desert and they slaughter an animal and he's teaching in the desert. And then he's in the class with the nisa and he's teaching the women. And then he's on the telephone answering the fatwa. Atmosphere of knowledge. And you could be from the closest people to the sheikh. But if you did not get an appointment, you may come to his door and get turned away and get more than your feelings hurt. Because the man was about knowledge, spreading the knowledge. Wasn't about just this preaching, make me feel good, like the black preacher in America. Or like Louis Farrakhan. Wow, he dropped it. It's about knowledge of our deen, ikhwan. We have to create this type of atmosphere. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam in the Hadith of Jibreel, as it relates to knowledge, the Hadith is impregnated with too many fawaid. The benefit and the virtue of knowledge, we can't say enough about it. Man saraka tariqan yaltamisu fihi al-ilma sahalallahu bihi lahu tariqan ila al-jannah. Whoever goes out, he's a student and he's trying to learn the Quran and he comes consistently. Whoever goes out in search of knowledge, Allah will make easy for him the road, the path to paradise. When I first came to this country and I met the Qari, the Hafidh, our brother, Zaka Allah, Athabahullah. Brothers told me, mashallah, his recitation is beautiful, mashallah. And also his ilqa, the durus, he's teaching Jami' al-Ulum wal-Hikam by Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, mashallah. I had dinner today with Zaka Allah. Asked him, how are your classes coming along? He said, the people left the classes. And that's how it is. Pumped up at the beginning and then we leave the classes. We have to develop this, ikhwan. Knowledge has its virtues. Everyone here, we would hope, inshallah, we know that in our religion, the dog, the kalb, akramakumullah, he is from the dirtiest and the worst animals. Unfortunately, we have Muslims seeking izzah in dogs. They think by having a Rottweiler or some kind of dog, it is a status symbol. So the Muslim kid is living with his dog. The dog is living in his room, on his bed. His brother, sister, mother, and father go into the room, and the dog is on the bed looking at the relative come into the door on the bed, as if to say, yeah, what do you want? And he walks around the street with the dog. Everyone knows, unless his fitrah has been corrupted, the dog is dirty, nasty. His saliva is najis. You have to clean out your vessel 7 times. 7 times. the first or the seventh time with dirt. Despite that fact, Allah Azza wa Jal told us in the Quran, يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا أُحِلَّ لَهُمْ قُلْ أُحِلَّ لَكُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَمَا عَلَّمْتُم مِّنَ الْجَوَارِحِ مُكَلِّبِينَ تُعَلِّمُونَهُنَّ مِمَّا عَلَّمَكُمُ اللَّهُ. They ask you, Ya Muhammad, what is halal for them to eat? Tell them all of the good things are halal. And also halal for you are the animals that the dogs that you taught knowledge. The jawarih, mukallibin. Those dogs that you train, the dog that has knowledge, the one that he kills the animal, you can eat that animal. Just say Bismillah over the animal when you get it. The animal is dead. Your dog killed him. You could take the animal and say Bismillah and eat it. But if there was a wild dog along with your dog in there, if there was a dog that didn't have knowledge and he wasn't trained, you can't eat the animal. So knowledge in the Quran raised up the dog. You think it won't raise you up, Bani Adam? But we have to set this atmosphere, ikhwani. And that also goes for our wives and our daughters. What's wrong that we can't read Riyadh al-Salihin every day, a chapter, every day 2 hadith? It's quality time with your wife who's always complaining, and it's education for your children. Knowledge, ikhwan. Our dawah is based upon ilm. And that's why we have all this fitna. Because we have people talking about al-jarh wa ta'deel, and we have people talking about high aspects of the deen, and we have people telling us that ittiba is, that taqleed is ittiba, and they are creating havoc and fold in the religion. Knowledge. As it relates to the benefit, the first benefit that we want to discuss today is the benefit of a sunnah that we have lost for the most part. It started to come back for a minute, but for some reason it got lost again. Maybe that's because the people don't know its importance, and that's why we are going to mention this. The Shaykh mentioned this in his book, Rahimahullah Ta'ala wa Hafidhahullah wa Radiyallahu Anhu. And that is from this hadith, from the etiquette of knowledge, is that we see how the Salaf used to be upon having the husn al-khitab, speaking to the scholar in the respectful manner, not speaking to the sheikh, not speaking to the scholar in any shape, form, or fashion, but being a person who has some etiquette in the way that you address the scholar. And one of the best ways of addressing a scholar or a Muslim man or woman is addressing them by their kunya. As Yahya ibn Ya'mar, as well as Humayd ibn Abdul Rahman al-Himyari from the Tabi'een, they said to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Ya Aba Abdul Rahman. There are some people where they came out of Basra and they doing this and they're doing that. So they called him Abu Abdul Rahman. From the best ways of addressing the Muslim man is by using his kunya. And this is a sunnah that the Arabs were upon in the times of al-Jahiliyyah. And then al-Islam came and supported it. But the Arabs left it. When the A'ajim, the non-Arabs, mixed in the religion, they brought a lot of issues with them. Not only did they bring foreign deviant concepts, but they also took away and they buried and destroyed a lot of the positive adat and taqaleed of the Arab. And from them is the kunya. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he used to give the kunya to the little kids. Anas ibn Malik had a brother. The brother went missing. Rasulullah didn't see him for a number of days. He asked Anas, where's your brother? I haven't seen your little brother. Where's he at? He didn't ask, where's Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Ukasha? The little boy. Where's your little brother? Anas said, Ya Rasulullah, his bird died and he's mourning. He refuses to come out of the home. He's sad. The Prophet went to him. He said to Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, all of those old companions, come and let's visit our brother in his time of need. Went to his home. Rasulullah said to the boy sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Aba Umair, Mada fa'ala al-Nughayr? Oh Abu Umair, what did the little bird do? gave a little nursery rhyme for the boy and gave him a kunya. From this hadith, Al-Imam Abu Amr al-Dani wrote a book that came out to 75 benefits from this hadith. The permissibility of giving a boy the kunya, the humility of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the responsibility of the imam or the leader of the Muslims to see about the affairs of the Muslims, the importance of a tafaqqat, when you lose your brother and you don't see him, to start asking, where is fulan and fulan? The permissibility of keeping pets, because the boy, he had a pet in Medina. 75 benefits. The one we focus on here is the boy wasn't married, so you can't even mention having any children, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him the kunya of Abu Umayr. Another little girl from the companions, he gave her a dress as a gift, and then he said, it looks beautiful, ya Umma Khalid. It looks beautiful, ya Umma Khalid. Named the little girl Khalid. Suhaib al-Rumi, Suhaib al-Rumi, even though he was from the Arabs, originally from the Arabs, he was put in slavery and sent to Rome, and he grew up in Rome as a Roman, but he was an Arab. Umar radiallahu anhu in the Musnad of Imam Ahmed asked him, لماذا تكني أبا يحيى وما لك ولد? Why do you take the kunya Abu Yahya and you don't even have a child? He says, radiallahu anhu, kannani biha Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah called me Abu Yahya, and he didn't even have a child. Aisha radiallahu anha, Abdullah, she didn't have a child. So now what we do is we take what is better for what is worse, and we refer to each other, and you'll find this amongst the Arabs. Instead of calling, he may have a ta'ifa from Olad, a lot of children, 10 boys, 2 girls, but he prefers to be called a doctor, fulan ibn fulan, al-ustad, fulan ibn fulan, al-afandi, fulan ibn fulan, al-baik, fulan ibn fulan, al-pasha, fulan ibn fulan. And he gets away from the adat of his forefathers that the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam supported. So from the etiquette of the student of knowledge, ikhwan, is when we get ulama and we get visitors of knowledge, strong tulab al-ilm, real scholars, we address them in terms that are terms of respect and endearment. Now someone may come and he may say, but what about Jibreel in the hadith? Jibreel came and he said, Ya Muhammad, akhbirni an al-Islam. Ya Muhammad, tell me about Islam. He didn't call him Abu Qasim, he didn't call him Rasulullah. Jibreel is different, ikhwan, la yuqas bi Jibreel. You can't use Jibreel as the example. First of all, everyone knows that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is greater than Jibreel. And this is a dalil, this hadith is a dalil. As the A'imma used to say, لا يكن الرجل إماما حتى يأخذ عن من هو فوقه وعن من هو مثله وعن من هو دونه. A man will never become an imam in knowledge until he takes knowledge from the one who has more knowledge than him, and he takes knowledge from someone who is similar to him in knowledge, and he takes knowledge from someone who is lower than him. Rasulullah is greater than Jibreel, but at the same time, Jibreel is the muallim of Rasulullah. Jibreel is the sheikh of Rasulullah. وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْهُ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ عَلَّمَهُ شَدِيدُ الْقُوَىٰ. He doesn't speak based upon his own desires, but it is revelation given to him. He has been taught by one who is strong, Jibreel. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu fi Sahih Bukhari, he said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أجود الناس وكان أجود ما يكون في رمضان حين يلقاه جبريل وكان جبريل يدارسه القرآن. Rasulullah was the most generous of all of the people, and he became even more generous in Ramadan. And Jibreel used to come to him every night in Ramadan and go over the Quran with him every year. And in the last year of his life, he went over it twice. What did he do? Jibreel was the muallim, and he would say, put this ayat there, put that ayat there, put this one here, put that one here. So since he was the muallim of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and in this hadith, he came to teach the people the deen, he can call him Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wasallam. But for us, we address the people of knowledge with terms of respect. Ya Shaykhi, Ya Shaykhana, Ya Aba Fulan, and like this. Also, ikhwan, from the benefits of the hadith is the fact that the fatwa, the istifta, the fatwa, when you're searching for the fatwa, the Muslim is always haris to get the knowledge, no matter what the situation is. He does not feel shy to get knowledge if the sheikh is sitting, if the sheikh is walking, if the sheikh is riding, if the sheikh is with a group of people, if the sheikh is by himself. He has to have the hirs, the desire, and he has to be diligent in giving knowledge. And it is permissible to take the knowledge from the sheikh while he's walking. In the Asian culture, and this is not to put the Asian culture down, this is just something that I was told from the superstition that people think is from the religion. The brother told me that when he used to eat, he would eat with his family, and his mother and his father taught him, you can't talk while you eat. It's disrespectful. You just have to sit there and eat, and everyone looks at each other. Superstition has nothing to do with the deen. You can't say the word pig, akramakumullah. If you do, you have to spit out. If your shoes are turned upside down, you have to hurry up and turn them the right way. If your shoe one is facing that way, the other facing, you're going to be misguided. So you have to put them together the same way. Wallahi, your shoe being like this has nothing to do with your hidayah. So they say you can't get the knowledge from the sheikh while you're walking. It's disrespectful to the hadith and to the knowledge. This is not true. They were walking with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Umar, one guy on his right, one guy on his left, and they sought the fatwa. They said about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam yadhkurullaha ala kulli ahyanihi. Rasulullah used to mention Allah, remember Allah in all of his circumstances. Sitting down, lying down, walking. He used to remember Allah. He taught us if someone wants to come to his wife, he mentions Allah. Allahumma jannibna shaitan wa jannib shaitan ma razaqtana. Goes into the bathroom, comes out of the bathroom. He used to remember Allah in all of his conditions. Of course, it's better to make the dhikr of Allah when you have a tahara. And of course, you shouldn't mention Allah at certain times. It's not from the etiquette to do so. But knowledge is always, you want to have the hirs. And for that reason, Imam al-Bukhari, ikhwan, in his book, Kitabul Ilm, he brings the chapter, Bab al-Futya, wa huwa waqifun ala daba wa ghayriha. The chapter of the permissibility of getting a fatwa when the man or when the scholar is on his mounted on his riding beast or other than that. It's in the chapter of Al-Hajj as well. Doing the Hajj, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was at Arafah, and they used to ask him questions. Can I throw? Can I cut? Can I do this? Can I do that? And he would be on his mount and he would say, no haraj, no problem, do this, do that. They wanted to make sure. They didn't know if he was fasting. He wasn't fasting. He was on his mount. Told them, give me the Zamzam water. Took the Zamzam water and drunk the Zamzam water so that people can see him. In another narration, drunk the milk. So the permissibility of giving the fatwa is permissible, whether he's on his mount or other than that. It's from the religion. So it is a foreign concept for a person to think or to feel he can't ask the sheikh while he was walking. As I mentioned earlier, Ikhwan, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, I don't think, wallahu alam, that Allah has created a faqih similar to Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen in this time that we know of. A Sheikh Bakr Abdullah Abu Zayd is like him. May Allah cure him and protect him from his a'da. A Sheikh Bakr Abdullah Abu Zayd is an alim from the ulama of this ummah. Along with him is a Sheikh Abdul Rahman Ibn Jibreel from the Kibar al-Ulama. And even if they said what is not acceptable in Sayyid Qutb, that means that we take away their scholarship and we hate them. The Juhal, wallahi, if the noon sakin fell on his head, he wouldn't be able to say that's a noon sakin. He doesn't know that's a noon sakin. What is that? He doesn't know. But he's saying the man from the Kibar ulama, he's a deviant. This is the man who the people look at as a marja to figure out whether or not you can donate an organ. Big issues. A Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, the faqih, the usuli, the muhaddith, in his masjid there where he was at, rahimahullah ta'ala, I've never seen with my own eyes an individual who spent every waking hour in front of the people doing nothing but teaching. He comes to the class and he has students from everywhere and they're close and he's teaching and they're asking him and he's asking them and he's answering. And then after that, he goes home. On the way home, the students who come from different parts of the world, 80 of them, 90 of them, they're walking with the sheikh on his right, on his left, behind him, asking him questions all the way. He's telling them this, he's telling them that. And then when they get to the door, they have to return. When the sheikh comes to the masjid by himself with a group of few students, he doesn't want the people with him. Why? Because when he's coming to the masjid, sometimes without any shoes, barefooted. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يمشي أحيانا حافيا. He used to walk without no shoes. Let someone walk down Coventry Road with no shoes today, in love of the Sunnah. Wallahi, the Muslims are going to say he's a deviant. He went crazy. He lost his mind. Al-Imam Sahl ibn Abdullah Tustari, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, in an authentic athar, an authentic statement that was attributed to him, rahimahullah ta'ala, alaykum bis sunnah wal athar, fa inni akhsha an yati alaykum zamanun qareeb. إذا ذكر الرجل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والاقتداء به في كل أموره نفروه وتبرؤوا منه وأهانوه وزجروا منه. He said, you have to take the sunnah. I advise you people, hold on to the sunnah, because I'm afraid that the time is fastly approaching where if there's a man from amongst us who mentions Rasulullah and he mentions the importance of trying to follow him in all of his affairs, the people are going to warn against him. They're going to encourage the people, get away from him. Don't marry him, don't be with him. He doesn't want his son with him because he's crazy. He walks around with no shoes. He was eating and something fell and he picked it up and wiped the dirt off and he ate it. The religion began as a stranger and is going to return as a stranger. Islam, the Muslim is strange with the kuffar. The Sunni is strange with the Mubtadi'. And the Salafi al-Haqiqi is strange with the Sunniyin. The one who says, I don't make taqleed of no one like that. Not like that. He's strange. He's a deviant. I don't believe anyone's kalima has to be taken unconditionally except Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's a deviant because he rejected Sheikh Fulan's statement that was not supported with the dalil. So this is the time that we're living in. This is the time that we're living in. That's the statement of Imam Sahl ibn Abdullah Tustari. So Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen will walk from his home, ikhwan, and he will say to the businessmen, close your shops, close your shops, salamu alaikum, salamu alaikum. Stop smoking that cigarette. Yeah, Olad, get out the street, go make wudu. From his home all the way to the masjid, which was a long distance, about from here to Al-Hidayah or maybe further. I only mention Hidayah, not giving them a plug, but I don't know Birmingham that well. Because there's some people say, why you mention Hidayah, Al-Hidayah? I don't know Birmingham that well. And he will walk that distance giving nasiha. So from the etiquette of the hadith, ikhwani, as we mentioned, is being haris on getting the knowledge no matter what the situation is. Also from the etiquette is what the Shaykh mentioned in this book. He said, rahimahullahu ta'ala, in this particular benefit, the athar of Abu Huraira, and this is an important athar because again, it comes as a result of the ignorance of the people that, mashallah, the Shaykh even mentioned this point. He said, جاء في صحيح البخاري وصحيح مسلم عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بارزا يوما للناس. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was out and he was apparent one day for the people to give them their fatwa, to answer their questions. That's in Bukhari and Muslim. And then the Shaykh brought the authentic narration in Abu Dawood. He said, وفي سنن أبي داود بإسناد صحيح عن أبي ذر وأبي هريرة قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يجلس بين ظهراني أصحابه فيجيء الغريب فلا يدري أيهم هو حتى يجلس بين ظهران حتى يجلس ويسأل فطلبنا منه صلى الله عليه وسلم أن نجعل له مجلس يعرفه الغريب إذا أتاه فقال فبنينا له دكان من طين فجلس عليه وكنا نجلس بجنبتيه. Abu Dhar and Abu Huraira said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to sit with his companions, and the strange person who wasn't from Medina would come, and he wouldn't be able to distinguish Rasulullah from the rest of the people sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he would have to ask, where is Rasulullah? Where is Muhammad? And then the people will point him out. There he is, the white one over there. He would sit with the people like the people. So we, the companions, asked him, Ya Rasulullah, would you not allow us to build you something so that you can sit on top of it, so when the stranger comes, they will be able to recognize that you're Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Since this whole deen, ikhwan, the deen of al-Islam, from the maqasid of this deen, from the goals and the objectives of this deen, every halal and everything that's haram is halal, and it has been made haram for what? To push away from you harm and to pull to you benefit. The whole deen is for that reason. To push away from you that which will be harmful to you, your money, your intellect, your honor, your lineage, your property, everything haram and halal. Push away what is harmful and to pull to you the maslahah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw in that suggestion maslahah, benefit. It's going to make it easy for the gharib, the stranger. So he agreed because he is mutawadi. He himself is humble. He doesn't have to sit in a different way. So that's from the sunnah and from the etiquette of knowledge for the scholar or the teacher to be above the people so that they can see him, so that if someone comes, he knows this is a class going on and so forth and so on. I think this is an important issue that the Shaykh brought out because look at the jahil, look at the jahil. Those of you who have been to Mecca, you see the chairs in the Kaaba, you see the chairs at the Masjid al-Nabawi, the chairs that the ulama sit on. You know the people who go overboard with takfir and with accusing people of their niyyah, especially the ulama, they said one of the criticisms that they had of the ulama over there was, look at those big fat opulent chairs they live in, they sit on. This is a sign of takabbur. They should sit on the earth with everybody else, as Rasulullah used to sit on the earth. This is one of the many signs of them being scholars for dollars. This is one of the many signs and proofs that show that those people are with the government. And another sign is when they come on TV, they give fatwas according to what the government wants. And they're drugged. You know how we know that they're drugged? While they're talking, their lips are purple. Yeah, what's wrong with you people? Yeah, it's mudhik and it's mubki. You laugh and cry at the same time. You laugh and cry at the same time. Is that a dalil? Is that knowledge? to prove that someone is alim as-su, the fact that he sits on a chair, he comes on TV and his lips are purple, that means he's drugged and they programmed him, and that's why he gave the fatwa and he gives the fatwa that he gives. So from the etiquette, ikhwan, is that the muallim, he sits on the chair, and similar to it, the father in the home, he can sit on the chair that is earmarked for him. It is for him. And from the etiquette of visiting a man in his home is that we do not sit in his chair. From the etiquette of visiting each other, from the huquq we have, haqqul muslim ala muslim, sittun, idha laqitahu fasallam alayhi, wa idha da'ahu فإذا دعاك فجبه وإذا استنصحك فانصح له وإذا عطس فشمته وحمد الله فشمته وإذا مرض فعده وإذا مات فاتبع جنازته. The rights that the Muslim has against on the other Muslim are 6. There are more than these rights. There are many, but these are the ones that are most common. These are the ones that are important. From the rights the Muslim has over his Muslim brother. When he meets him, he gives him salams. When he invites him, he accepts the invitation. When he seeks advice from him, he advises him. When he sneezes and says Alhamdulillah, he says Yarhamakullah, his haqq. When he becomes sick, he visits him. When he dies, he gives him his haqq. After death, he washes him, buries him, takes care of his debt, takes care of his family, takes care of his wasiyah, many huquq. The haqq hereof, answering the invitation. He invites him, he answers the invitation. He goes. When he goes, there are some etiquettes he has to take care of. The etiquettes of answering the invitation. One, he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-majalis bil-amana. When you sit with people, you're sitting with them is an amana. It's an amana. Don't get up and then go to the next guy and tell him all of the secrets that the man just told you. You went to his home, you may have saw he argued with his wife. You may saw something that wasn't acceptable. He had a CD playing, a video out, something. You didn't like it. Don't go out and make ghiba. The majalis is an amana. That's from the etiquettes of giving him his haqq. From the etiquette is that you don't lead him in the salat in his home, and you do not sit in his chair. The big daddy chair. You can't sit in the chair, Juan. If you go in a man's house, he has a dining table, one chair is at the head and then subsequent chairs, and no other chair facing that one. When you go, you have to sit on the chairs on the side. And if that's the only chair left, you can't sit there. You have to say, can I sit in that chair? Everyone here, Khwani, has a sultan. You are the sultan and the imam in your home. Your wife has to respect your authority and your hukuma. He has his own room. That's his sultan. You're the khalifa. He's the imam of that room. But you're the khalifa. You're over him. His other brothers have to respect his privacy. They can't go in his drawers. They can't go inside of his private affairs. It says sultan. This is from the haqq of al-Islam, from the etiquettes of the religion as it relates to giving this particular haqq. So, ikhwani, as it relates to the issue of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam giving us this sunnah of the imam being up, the muallim being up, the father being up in the special place in his house, all of that is from the deen. All of that is from the deen. It brings what is beneficial and it pushes away what is harmful. Ikhwan, also from the etiquettes of the hadith, tremendous etiquettes. Al-ilm yu'ta ilayhi. Knowledge is something that is sought after. We should go to the knowledge. Knowledge is too high. It's too up. It's too respected. Knowledge should be sought after. He said, Al-ilmu bit-ta'allum wal-hilm bit-tahallum. Knowledge should be sought after. And becoming halim, becoming soft, is something you develop. Knowledge should be sought after. That's from the etiquette of the hadith of Jibreel. Jibreel was not too arrogant to come to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to ask for knowledge. He taught us our deen. He's an angel from the malaika. And the malaika, ikhwan, they are a tremendous creation and they don't have kibr. They don't have kibr. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا ثم عرضوهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. They don't have a problem with saying, we don't know the names of these particular things that you taught Adam. I don't know. What's the ruling? What's the hukum? Allahu alam. La adri. I don't know. And he's an angel from the malaika. All of them said that statement. ولا ينستنكف المسيح أن يكون عبد لله ولا الملائكة المقربون. Isa ibn Maryam, he doesn't have a problem with being an abd to Allah, and nor do the malaika who are muqarrabun. They are not arrogant. They don't have that problem. Say Allahu Adam. Jibreel was not arrogant. You know the hadith of the three people who came to Rasulullah's majlis? One of them came and he saw and he turned away. So Allah turned away from him. The second one came and he was shy. He didn't want the people to know that he didn't know, that he wanted the knowledge. Al-Imam Qatada, Al-Imam Mujahid in Sahih al-Bukhari, Kitab al-Ilm, he said, لا يتعلم مستحيون ولا متكبر. Mujahid, the student of Ibn Abbas, said, two people will never learn. The one who is shy and the one who's arrogant. The shy one, he doesn't want people to know that he doesn't know what to do, how to make wudu, how to make ghusl. And the one mutakabbir, he thinks he knows everything. So the first man was mutakabbir, he walked away, turned away, Allah turned away from him. Second one was shy, so he sat way back there so the people wouldn't know. He needed knowledge. And then the third one, he came all the way up and found a place. He got in, we fit in, and because he came to Allah, Allah Ta'ala came to him. So that's from the etiquette of this hadith, that mashallah, during this time, wallahi, the knowledge comes to us, and we don't participate. Al-Islam ya'la wa la yu'la alayhi. This religion is dominant and it is upper, and nothing should be put over it. You know why this hadith was mentioned? Al-Islam ya'la wa la yu'la alayhi. Al-Islam should be put up. The Quran should be put on top, and nothing should be put on the Quran. The Muslim should be mentioned when you're going to mention Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. La. Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Islam is uppermost, and nothing goes over it. This hadith was mentioned in Fathu Mecca. Abu Sufyan was a kafir, and he was riding into Mecca to try to have an audience with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some of the Muslims saw Abu Sufyan. They started saying, Abu Sufyan, here's Abu Sufyan, Abu Sufyan, Abu Sufyan is coming. Rasulullah heard them making the name of the kafir big, the personality of the kafir big. He said, Al-Islamu ya'la wa la yu'la alayhi. Al-Islam is up, and nothing is over Islam. Not Abu Sufyan or other than Abu Sufyan radiyallahu anhu. What about Sheikh Fulan ibn Fulan? If we don't put Abu Sufyan over al-Islam, how does Sheikh Fulan ibn Fulan becomes over Qala Allah wa Qala Rasulullah? Hadithuni law kuntum ta'lamun. Someone help me to understand that. How we used to find izzah and al-fakhr, pride. We used to be proud to say, look, if my Imam, Al-Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal told me the Qibla is that way, he came and told me the Qibla is that way, I'm going to say, la, Imam. The Qibla is this way based upon this, that. Now you tell us why the Qibla is that way. Allah yarhamuka. He says, well, it's just like that. We're going to say, may Allah bless you, ya Imam, you get one reward, inshallah, for your ijtihad, but we are not following that. No, you're talking bad about Al-Imam Ahmed, because you questioned Imam Ahmed. We mentioned in the hadith of al-niyya, innama al-a'malu niyat. In the chain of narration of the Shaykh of Imam al-Bukhari, his name is Abdullah bin Zubayr al-Humaydi. He's from the ulama of Mecca. He was the Shaykh and the Imam. He was the scholar and the teacher of Imam Sufyan. Ikhwan, we told you knowledge, okay? Sahih al-Bukhari. Anytime Imam al-Bukhari says in Sahih al-Bukhari, he just says Sufyan in the chain of narration. Which Sufyan is that? Somebody raise his hand. Imam al-Bukhari, he just says, Haddathani al-Humaydi. Qal, Haddathani Sufyan. What Sufyan is he talking about? Sufyan al-Thawri. He's talking about Sufyan ibn Uyayna. Anytime he means Sufyan al-Thawri, he's going to mention Sufyan al-Thawri. That's knowledge of Sahih Bukhari. Any hadith is just Sufyan ibn Uyayna. He was the scholar of Mecca. The people said after the death of Sufyan ibn Uyayna, after he died, they said, now we can start to make Hajj for Allah. Meaning they used to make Hajj, and one of the main reasons why they made Hajj was to get the knowledge of Sufyan ibn Uyayna. If you got the hadith from Sufyan ibn Uyayna, that meant between you and Rasulullah was the thalathiyat. There will only be at most three people between you and Rasulullah. So your isnad is alim. Al-Imam al-Humaydi, he was a sheikh of Sufyan ibn Uyayna. And Sufyan ibn Uyayna was the sheikh of Al-Imam al-Shafi'i. Al-Humaydi was older. They asked Al-Imam al-Shafi'i a question, he gave the fatwa. Al-Humaydi said, Ata'khudhu bihi ya al-Imam? Do you take with that hadith, ya al-Imam Shafi'i? Do you follow, do you practice that? He said, Waylaka. I tell you, Rasulullah said this or this, and you ask me, do I take the hadith? Do you see me coming out of a church with a bell on myself like the Jews, like the Christians? Do you see me wearing the clothes of the Yahudi? If Rasulullah said it, yes, I'm going to take the hadith. I don't make taqleed of my opinion, his opinion, and this and that. So knowledge is sought after, and we come to the knowledge. Abdullah bin Abbas radiyallahu anhu, Abdullah bin Abbas, after the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to a man from the Ansar and he said to the man of the Ansar, there's some knowledge with these people from the Ansar. Let's go and get the knowledge from them. That man said, no, we don't need to get that knowledge. You go, I'm not interested in that. The companions are all over. I can get this information anytime. Abdullah bin Abbas, he went to the door, found that the people were sitting at the door. The man was taking the qaylula. He sat with the people. Dust got on him. The man came out. He said, oh, cousin of Rasulullah, what are you doing? He said, this is how we've been taught. You have more right that I come to you because you have the knowledge. He could have knocked down the door. He could have went in for sure. But he went to get the knowledge. He didn't do what some of the people do today. He went to get the knowledge. If the knowledge doesn't come to me on the TV and the internet, I'm not going to come out to get it. No, you have to make the effort. The last point we are going to make, ikhwan, because my companions are saying, let's go, let's go, let's go, before the adhan goes off and we get stuck here again. The last point that we want to make is the point about what the scholars used to warn of. And I'm going to mention this because we have to remain balanced. And that is, as it relates to the knowledge. But even before that, from the benefits of the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas going to that door, it shows, ikhwan, the importance of people getting knowledge at a young age. Because Abdullah ibn Abbas said about this man, he said that original Ansari man saw later on in life that the people were all around me. And he said, I should have competed with you when you asked me. When he was young, he went. And then later on, he benefited from that. Your child, when he's young, bring him to the masjid. Teach him the etiquettes. Teach them how to sit still. Teach them what the masjid and the knowledge of the masjid is about. Make the masjid something that it used to be again, like it used to be before. Make it like that again. The last point, ikhwan, about the knowledge, coming to the knowledge, is that the scholars of the past, they used to dislike, they used to make inkar about taking the knowledge to the doors of the sultan. Al-Imam, the Khalifa, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, used to be shadeed against the people. Sufyan al-Thawri used to be shadeed against the people. Abdullah ibn Mubarak used to be shadeed. He used to say, the one who orders with the ma'ruf and he prohibits and prevents the munkar from amongst the ulama. They say, we're going to the scholar to enjoin the good, forbid the evil. He said, the one who really enjoins the good and forbids the evil is the one who doesn't go to them. They used to be tough. Al-Imam Ahmed used to make inkar on his son, Salih, his oldest son, used to make inkar for being a judge in the court of Al-Ma'mun. Wouldn't eat from his food. Even though Al-Imam Ahmed used to not make khuruj against him. Even though Al-Imam Ahmed used to make dua for him. Not making khuruj and making dua for him is different from going to them and being with them and rubbing elbows with them. It's going to corrupt you. Al-Imam al-Suyuti wrote a book about the evils of going to the bab of the sultan. Mentioned authentic hadith and unauthentic hadith and some athar about its evil. Al-Imam Abdurrahman ibn al-Jawzi wrote in his book Talbis Iblis, how Iblis messes with the people. A chapter about how Iblis messes with the ulama. He makes the scholar feel and think that he's going to go to make inkar, but he gets in there and he becomes inclined. He said it's a fitna on three types of people. It's a fitna on the sultan, because the sultan, he says, well, if I was wrong, he wouldn't come to me and he wouldn't partake in my riches. If the scholar is here, it's a proof that I'm okay. It's a fitna for the ammat an-nas, who would say, if scholar so-and-so is with him, then he must be okay. And it's a fitna for the scholar himself, because his heart starts to become inclined and he may not give the fatwa that is the haq. Which brings us to the point that, yes, ikhwan, we have some brothers who speak about hating going to the sultan, and this is in our religion. And then as soon as he says that, we say, he's jihadi, he's takfiri. That's from our deen. And the sultan that they were talking about in these hadith, and the sultan that the ulama were upon not going into, were the evil ones. The evil ones. People of fitna. Because it is a fact. It is a fact that Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was a sultan who was righteous, and Urwa ibn Zubair used to come to him all the time. Used to come to him all the time. Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Shihab al-Zuhri used to come to Umar ibn Abdul Aziz all the time. And if you counted all of the ulama who used to go in upon those hukam who were good, there'd be too many to mention. But the evil ones who you know will corrupt your religion. So it's an amazing thing when some of the people say with the haq, the Hamas of al-Islam, we don't want to see our money going to the kuffar. We don't want to see the wala given to the kuffar. Someone mentions that and then they get on the telephone, Sheikh, he's talking about da 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 da, and then the Sheikh say, oh, he's a deviant. Based upon the kalam that person said. Entering upon the sultan will corrupt you. The evil sultans, the evil ones. But the ulama, they have a responsibility to go and to give them advice. Someone says, yeah, but what about Sheikh Ibn Baz and those people like that? Wasn't they entering upon the evil sultan? Doesn't this apply to them? First of all, where do you get the understanding the Sheikh was entering upon the sultan? The entering upon the sultan here is, as we mentioned, he makes it his deen. Every day you look up, that's where he is. Yeah, he has to go for munasabat. And when he went, he gave advice. And no one would doubt, except a person who is really ignorant or arrogant, no one would doubt that those people respected a sheikh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz. And they respect the family of Al-Sheikh. No doubt about that. So Sheikh ibn Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, should not be categorized with those ulama like that. It would be dhulm and oppression. We're going to stop here, ikhwani, inshallah, and we'll take 3 questions from the floor. إذا كانت ثم أسئلة, and then we're going to nansarif, inshallah. Do you guys have any questions? Preference given to the kibar al-qawm, to the elders. Any questions? هذا, go ahead, akhi.
He said Jibreel was Malika. Jibreel, he called him by name. Of the angel of Malika.
The what?
Malika.
ولا الملائكة المقربون. الملائكة المقربون, those angels who are closest to Allah. The malaika al-muqarrabun, from Qareeb, Jibreel, Mikael. They're from the angels that are powerful. They're not just the ordinary angels. Allah called them the malaika al-muqarrabun. We have a question that was given, and the ikhtisar of the question is about pictures being haram. Sheikh Wasi Allah said that picture taking was haram, and there were other means to take pictures. Even for this, you can find other ways other than using the camera. The person in the long question highlighted here the gist of the question. What confuses me, brother, is that on that day of the conference, when the Sheikh was here and the question was put and answered, the answer was no, it shouldn't be used. But what confuses me is that the source of picture taking was there. There was a camera in front of the speaker. I heard no one raise their voice and say, switch that camera off. Shouldn't the speaker or speakers or even the people say something? Were they not letting themselves being created by picture form or the video form? They bring also that hadith. أَشَدَّ النَّاسِ عَذَابًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الْمُصَوَّرُونَ. Those people who get the most punishment Yawm al-Qiyamah is the picture takers, picture makers. And he also brought in hadith that the picture takers, picture makers are in competition with Allah. So if you're asking me why the Sheikh didn't do this or why he didn't do that, I can't answer for the Sheikh. For me, I believe it's permissible to use that as a medium of dawah. So it's not on me to say, turn the thing off. As for the people who may be sitting there who feel that that is haram, it wouldn't be good etiquette for them to deal with a situation like that. It wouldn't be hikmah. As for the Sheikh, why didn't he do it? If my memory serves me correctly, he said it shouldn't be done and it's ikhtilaf and it's better to leave it. And because of that, I think that he said he was weighing the situation and that's why he left it, and Allah knows best. But I'm not responsible for why the Shaykh didn't do this or didn't do that. Any more questions, Ikhwan?
You mentioned about people, they take from Sheikh Ahmad bin Hanbal or whoever. They said, if he said this is the Qibla, this way, and we know this is the Qibla. Sometimes somebody who knows only one hadith, and he shouldn't make an inkar for the big scholar without knowing the whole hadith and the whole knowledge.
Now that's a good point. The brother said that if a scholar comes and tells us something, and a person only knows one hadith, he only knows one ayat, he's new in al-Islam, he's from the A'ajam, he just came into the deen a week ago, a year ago, and the mujtahid or the scholar says something, how can that individual say to that scholar, we're not going to listen to you, or we're not going to take that opinion? Which goes to show, Ikhwan, that everything has to be understood in its proper place, and we don't always have the time to deal with all of the details. We don't have all of the time to deal with all of the details. When we talked about asking the scholars on every condition, from the etiquette of knowledge is to respect the scholar and give him time. Time for his family, time to sleep. How are you going to call a scholar over here and it may be an appropriate time for you, but at his house it's 2 o'clock in the morning? How is it that Sheikh Abu Usamah will see Allah Abbas will come and give us a talk all day? He's talking, now he wants to go home, and 10 people come crashing the gates. Sheikh want to go to sleep. Wallahi, I came here, I tell you this because you should know it. I came here, the Sheikh was eating with someone, where the Sheikh Abdul Hadi saw. I came in there, and then the brothers were there ganging up on the Sheikh, telling them, when Sheikh, they did this to us, and they did this to us, and they did that to us, and this happened, and that happened. And the Sheikh was just looking, and he was trying to be accommodating. And then after all of that, he said to me, Abu Usamah, okay, I've finished with everybody. What you want? I can see it. I said, Sheikh, we came from Keighley, the North, the Yorkshire. We just came because we want to take you back so you can rest and see the beautiful place down there, and we give you the Mir Puri Ikram. That's what we want to do. Sheikh said, MashaAllah, I want to come. He couldn't even hold it back anymore, Ikhwan. He couldn't hold his frustration. He couldn't hold it. With the brothers, he was, okay, now you, go ahead, now you, and he was nice. But then when I said what I said, he couldn't hold it. He said, MashaAllah, okay, I want to come. And he came. And he gave the talk on his own. And then the Sheikh went back to Mecca. I was in Leeds, having dinner. I get a call on my cell phone. I started, Abu Usamah, Assalamu alaikum. This is Abu Usamah from Mecca. MashaAllah, Sheikh, how you doing? Abu Usamah, there's a group of brothers from Keighley who are here in Mecca. I saw them and I was busy. I couldn't really talk to them. I need you to get me their telephone number because I want to invite them to my house for the ikram that you brothers showed me in Keighley. He called Keighley for me to get him the number of one of the most generous brothers of Keighley, Wallah, Hasibahu, so that the Sheikh could give him ikram, and the Sheikh repaid him. Did he do that for anybody in Birmingham? Because Birmingham, Ikhwan, has its good points, but you gotta do something about this fitna. This fitna about hatred and so forth and so on. Anyway, to answer the brother's question, if the thing is what the ulama say, ma ammat bihi al-balwa, the thing that is known in the religion, bid-durura, the thing that everyone knows in the religion. Everyone knows khamr is haram, even if he's a new Muslim. Everyone knows that you have to cover yourself to make salah, even if he's a new Muslim. Everyone knows certain issues that the Bedouin knows, the Ajami knows, the woman knows, the kid knows. If a sheikh came and told us it's other than that, if it's something that everyone knows with durura, we say, no, Sheikh, no. I've been praying in this masjid now for a week, 3 days every day, 3 times every day. And the Muslims face that way. And this is the last ummah in al-Islam. And I only know one hadith. لَن تَجْتَمِعَ أُمَّتِي عَلَى الضَّلَالَةِ. My ummah will not have a consensus on what's wrong, especially on the qibla. Sheikh, hatu burhanakum in kuntum sadiqeen. You have to bring the dalil, Sheikh, because the asl is what the Muslims are doing. But if it's a big issue, the child got burned, now they want to put on the child something that has pig in it, and the imam said, or the man was convinced that the doctor's position, yeah, you should use it. The sheikh came and said, no, don't use it. Person, now you're a new Muslim, it's a big issue, it needs some fiqh, ijtihad, fahm. Then he's going to ask the sheikh.